Hey guys, welcome to Ravings of a Lunatic. I am your host, Carson Dingler, and this evening we're going to talk about Butch Hartman, and specifically we're going to talk about Oaxis. And this video is made for really anybody who hasn't heard of what Butch Hartman has been doing lately on the internet. And then this video is also for people who have heard about Oaxis and just other things that Butch Hartman has been doing. And this is an update for those people. So before we get started, I want you to drop in the comments and I want you to tell me what your favorite Nickelodeon show was when you were younger. My favorite was Jimmy Neutron, and I actually have Jimmy Neutron as a hamster on my sweater. So I used to really like watching Jimmy Neutron and Fairly Odd Parents with my cousin. We really liked Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. That was definitely my cousin's favorite, and as I grew older, I came to appreciate it a lot more. So there were 3 Jimmy Timmy Power Hours that came out. Butch Hartman worked on Fairly Odd Parents from the beginning all the way up until the end, and that's something that a lot of creators can't really say in terms of their shows. A lot of creators don't make it that long if their show's really successful. They tend to, move on to like different projects, but Butch Hartman remained faithful to Nickelodeon for literally decades, for a very, very long time. So Butch Hartman, he found success in working on Nickelodeon shows. He came out with Fairly Odd Parents, he came out with Danny Phantom, Tough Puppy, and Bunsen is a Beast. Those were his 4 Nickelodeon shows. 2 out of those 4 Nickelodeon shows had extreme success. Danny Phantom and Fairly Odd Parents did very well. With Danny Phantom becoming popular as time went on, it kind of became a cult classic, if you will. Bunsen is a Beast and Tough Puppy, they didn't do as well. I actually liked Tough Puppy when I was younger, but then again, I didn't really know what was, classy, what was really good quality and what wasn't. So here's what I'm going to do before we get started. I'm going to turn on my display cabinet lights. I hope you like my display cabinet. And today, we're going to have it on an orange-ish, yellowish color, because Nickelodeon. So, like I said, Butch Hartman remained faithful to Nickelodeon for a very, very long time. However, he ended up leaving the company, and right before he left the company, or maybe even during the time that he left the company, he ended Fairly Odd Parents. The Fairly Odd Parents show was basically canceled. It got moved to Nicktoons, which isn't as successful as a channel. Basically, what I'm saying is, whenever a Nickelodeon show tends to not get as good ratings, doesn't get as many views when it's on TV, it gets moved to the second channel, to the sister channel, Nicktoons. And what that means is Nicktoons never really gets a lot of views. So if your show is still, airing and it gets moved to Nicktoons, that basically means that Nickelodeon is killing it off. They're killing off the show. The show has 0 chance of making it. So keep in mind, this show that I'm doing, Ravings of a Lunatic, involves a lunatic. But today the lunatic is not me. Today the lunatic is Butch Hartman. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the stuff that he stands for, I agree with. However, we are going to talk about the downfall of Butch Hartman in this video. So, like I said, he left Nickelodeon. But, according to Butch Hartman, he had a plan in mind. He intended to join the YouTube community, and that's exactly what he did several years ago, about 3 years ago now. So, Butch Hartman entered YouTube around the same time as creators like Will Smith, people who did a lot of television stuff and maybe even movie stuff for Will Smith, and then they, became like an internet personality on YouTube. So I was really interested whenever Butch Hartman started his YouTube career, so I subscribed to him, and I stayed subscribed to him for maybe a year or possibly 2 years. He might have started in 2016. If he did, then I probably stuck around for about 2 years. So he did all sorts of different challenges on his YouTube channel, and it was really interesting. So I really appreciated what he was doing on YouTube. I liked the challenges that he did. It helped me see more of his art on a more regular basis, and because he wasn't, coming out with animated episodes on YouTube, he could do like more videos because it was like lower quality, but there was more quantity to his channel. And for a while, it was good. I really did enjoy it, and it was really for the age demographic that I was in. At the time, I guess I was about 15 or so. So I really enjoyed it. I guess I was sort of at the end of the age demographic, because I would say it was probably for people like between 5 and maybe 13, but hey, I was still watching it. So I really did enjoy his videos for a while. And then he introduced something very interesting. He said that he was going to continue making animated things on his Noog network, and at the time this was an app where you could like do mini games and things like that, and I actually downloaded the app. Now, Noog network is where the Oaxis part of his career starts. So Butch Hartman did Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, Tough Puppy, Bunsen is a Beast, left Nickelodeon. Even before he left Nickelodeon, he was doing things like the Noog network. The Noog network was his app, and he actually had some animated shorts on the Noog network, and I want you to keep that in mind. Keep the Noog network in mind. So after he uploaded these animated shorts, he would also put some of them on YouTube. He ended up doing that a little later on, maybe a year or two after he released them onto the Noog network. And the Noog network was interesting because the reason I told you to keep it in mind is because it was Butch Hartman trying something new on a digital platform, like, on a smartphone, on a smart device. So after he did the Noog network, after he did YouTube for a while, he announced that he was going to make something called Oaxis. And the reason that he was going to make Oaxis is because he wanted to make his very own streaming service. So you guys, if you're on the internet a lot, you know that streaming services are becoming very popular. A lot of corporations are coming out with streaming services because streaming services have had incredibly wild success. So regular television, cable television is out, streaming is in, and Butch Hartman wanted to capitalize on that. So he was going to come out with Oaxis, and Oaxis is what a lot of people know him for now. And basically what he did was he started a Kickstarter for Oaxis, and he wanted $250,000 to start like stage 1, phase 1 of Oaxis. And I actually pledged $5, and because I did that, I got updates on how the project was coming along. So in 2018, he released an update, and he said, they're doing, television type things, like shows, basically, and, animated and live action things. And there were some things around the Noog network that were very similar. There was one I remember in particular where it was this like restaurant, and it was on like a planet in outer space, and aliens and people, I remember specifically the people, went to the restaurant, and there were just funny gags and things like that in the restaurant. So Butch Hartman already did some live action things on the Noog network. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't professional. It was not professional quality, but it showed that he wanted to try to dive into things like that. So he had already done things like that, and he said that he was going to try to do things like that with Oaxis, and he gave his first update, like I said, in 2018. In early 2019, so this was 2 years ago now, I saw the final update where he said that they were almost done with stage 1, that all that they needed to do was get one of their well-trained editors, one of their best editors, to finish up with the editing, and then they would come out with stage 1. Here's where it gets interesting. Here's where some people might, not have heard the more recent news, because this really was more recent news with Oaxis. Butch Hartman announced that he wanted $5 million for the next part of the project. $5 million. He wanted $250,000 for the first goal for stage 1, and then he talked about $5 million. And the most insane thing about this update is that he just so delicately mentioned, I just need $5 million, and he hadn't come out with anything. There were no results from the $250,000 that had already been raised. One thing that I would like to note is that he was so far away from the $250,000 goal. Like, he was very far away from it, and then all of a sudden he had this donor come in and just make, a big donation. And I say just one donor because it sort of happened overnight. Like, he reached, he gained thousands and thousands of dollars overnight to reach the goal, which in my opinion was kind of suspicious. So he had this goal. Mysteriously, the goal, he reached that goal within a very small amount of time, like right before the deadline. And then, he said that he was making progress, and then he wanted $5 million. And then nothing. Nothing happened. Nothing happened with Oaxis. So the update is really nothing, to be honest. So what I've been doing is I've been checking on his channel. I've been watching, I watched a few of his new recent videos. He's pretty popular on TikTok right now. That's where he's finding his success for now. Butch Hartman is actually successful on TikTok, which is pretty insane to say. More successful on TikTok right now than he is on YouTube. His views have been steadily plummeting on YouTube. I've seen several videos he's come out with lately that only have about 12 to 13,000 views or so, which isn't good for a creator like him, because he said that his primary goal was YouTube for a while there, and he's not getting the views that he needs to if he's going to really continue to focus on YouTube. Sorry. So that YouTube thing isn't really working out right now for him. But the reason I bring that up is because he hasn't made any updates about Oaxis on his YouTube channel. He's just been doing more challenges. He's just been doing more, drawings, doodles, things like that. He's been giving more tips, things like that. Now, last thing, this is a really big update for him, is that about a year ago, he did this video series for these three kids, these three siblings, and they have like this family YouTube channel. There are literally hundreds of family YouTube channels. You guys have probably seen a lot of them in your recommended, or you've seen them on trending even. So Butch Hartman, he came up with this idea for this series about these three kids, and he animated them into animals, and it was just god awful. It was absolutely terrible. You can still find it on YouTube. They discontinued it about 8 months ago. The animation was done in Flash, which means that instead of it being frame by frame, which makes really nice looking animation, Flash is where everything's a lot smoother. I would say it's smoother, but it's not the same quality, because Flash is like where one image just like moves on the screen like this, and then like little parts of it move as well. It's kind of like puppetry almost. So he did that series, and the animation wasn't that good. And then he also came out around the same time. He came out with a Christian show that I think it was like 5 episodes, something like that. And the way that you downloaded it and watched it was like through Google Drive. Incredibly confusing. If you haven't seen Saber Sparks' channel, I would highly recommend that you look up that channel and watch his video, Saber Sparks' video on Butch Hartman's Christian cartoon. Butch Hartman is a man of faith, and I actually follow his daughter, Carly Hartman, on YouTube. She's come out with actually some pretty interesting videos, and she said that the girl, I don't remember her name, there was a girl in Fairly Odd Parents that had a crush on Timmy. Apparently, she was based on Butch Hartman's daughter, and Butch Hartman's daughter comes out, and she did come out, I guess, with a lot of really good Christian-related videos, and a lot of people made, like, parodies of Christianity, basically, when it came to Butch Hartman. Like, they were sort of making fun of him about it, but that's not where the problem was rooted. In all seriousness, the problem wasn't rooted in Christianity. It wasn't rooted in his religion. That wasn't the problem. The problem wasn't that he was a Christian. The problem was that he didn't deliver on something that he said that he would. He said something was going to happen and it didn't happen. And the worst part for me, because I did pledge $5, which, $5 is only $5. It's not much, but I wanted to see something come out of it. I wanted to see something interesting. I gave him some money. I wanted a result back. And what I was going to say is, the worst part for me is that he never gave a statement about it. He never gave a final statement. Hey guys, I wasn't able to do it. I really messed up. It wasn't the outcome that I wanted. I'm sorry, and I'm gonna work really hard to make up for it. Something like that. Something along those lines. He never came out with anything like that. And if this video gets a decent amount of views, Butch Hartman is probably going to view this video, because he's tried to take down videos that talk about him in a negative way. So I made a joke several minutes ago that he's the lunatic of this episode. But in all seriousness, I don't think he's crazy. I just think that he made a wrong decision. So, Butch Hartman, if you're watching this, I'm just going to say what everybody says. You need to give a statement about this. A lot of people actually do think that he's literally insane. I don't think that he's insane. I think that he needs to make a statement if he doesn't have anything to show for $250,000. But if he does have something to show, I want to see it. So, that being said, thank you guys for watching. I want to make another conspiracy theory video. I don't really have any ideas right now. If you have an idea for me, drop it in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. See you next week. Adios. That voice crack.